So who here wants to be psychic? Anybody? Anybody want to be psychic? You already are? Great. We got like 2 hands. Then what are y'all doing here? 2 hands. I got 2 hands. And you're all here to be, I don't want to be psychic. All right. My name is Will Tarkington. My stage name actually is Infinite, but I didn't put that up there. Ooh, look, sound. I put a bunch of things after my name because I find them to be useful for what I do, okay? You'll see the CHY, the CHYYT is certified hypnotist and certified hypnotherapist, certified in microexpressions, certified in subtle expressions, and then security crap, right? So to get this out of the way, say first, we're not going to talk about technology. There's no technology in this. This is about humans. This is about the history of how people have been manipulating humans over a long, long time, and that we now have to deal with it, okay? That being said, we're going to talk about psychics, and that's lies, damn lies, and psychics, and there's a reason that that's that way, okay? There are basics to basics to being a psychic. The major one is cold reading. It's the vast majority of what I'll be talking about today. There's warm reading, hot reading, Barnum statements, alternative memory, language. Did I mention language? You're going to pay a lot of close attention to the language. Everything is a language. What I am wearing, how I am presenting, what I say, what you read, everything is prepared. So how does a psychic work? And this is the key, because a psychic's setup is predominantly what gives them the power to succeed into the average person. It is, look around, it's a setup. It's absolutely a setup. There is no way that this is not a setup. This is a grift. This is somebody who is manipulating you for the purposes of getting you to do something, specifically to give money. And I want to be clear, there are 3 types of psychics in the world. Psychic entertainers, which I have no problem with. People who use these types of tricks and claim that they are psychic, a la Uri Geller, who make money off of manipulating people falsely. And then the last is the people who are psychic but don't know or don't realize that they're doing these tricks. There are a whole host of people that get tested for psychic phenomenon that are truly shocked that they're not psychic by the end. They're just delusional. So how does this setup work? First, and I guarantee this for a fact, it's not me. It's you. Every psychic starts by telling you being psychic is hard. Because being psychic is impossible. It is very hard. And we will tell you it's hard because, oh, the spirits don't communicate well, I'm going through barriers, my gift doesn't come in clear, you know, I'm dealing with abstracts, oh, I only feel feelings. There's a whole host of reasons that I can't tell you what you're thinking. Now the problem is it's not me, it's you. You're not thinking clear enough, not concentrating hard enough. The spirits aren't communicating well enough. You're not having the right energy. Yay. Okay, you will wait on me. Seriously, psychics make people wait. You think I'm kidding, but I'm not. You will actually wait. There's a parlor, like you're standing outside the parlor, you're like waiting. How many people have been to a psychic? Anybody? Been to a psychic? Did you sit in a parlor and wait? There you go. She sat in a parlor and waited. Now, I'll get into why that works in a minute. And you will give up control. You already have, incidentally. By sitting in the room and letting me stand up here, you've already given me all the control I need to be successful. But if you're dealing with a person on the street or a person in a parlor, they're going to take control from you systematically. And it's a very, very specific set of things that they will do. Because of your nature, because you are human, you're going to forget the unnecessary. It's just what you're going to do. I'll go into what that is in a minute. And every time I do succeed, I will make sure that you know it in great detail. And recount it a few more times for you later, just so you're sure you have it. So I just did this random Google search, right? Like, what is psychic? Right? And the interesting thing about what is psychic is you get just this great swath of imagery, right? So can anybody tell me what the one on the right is there? That would be the left. Thanks for the dyslexic people. The one on the right. I'm glad you looked where I was pointing. Did everybody catch that? Point to one image, talk to a different one. Everyone went to the one I was pointing at. Key. No, no, I just asked for the right. You see, like the way it works? It's all about language. So that is obviously the traditional crystal ball, right? Everybody familiar with that version of a psychic? The chakras, and incidentally, did you know that you can go somewhere and get your your aura taken a picture of. Has anybody done that? You're aware of that? It's called Carelian photography. It essentially takes a picture of your EMF field. We are all electronic beings. We generate EMF fields. They take a picture of it, and this indicates how spiritual and centered you are. Every time I go, I am perfectly centered. My chakras are the right size, they are the right color, and they never mingle. It irritates the crap out of them because they can't sell me anything. They're like, wow, you're in perfect alignment. Yeah, I'm something. And the last two that are on this slide are just different modalities of being psychic, right? Palm reading, yay. Palm reading encompasses a whole slew. And then you have the Ouija board, which is probably the one that everybody knows about because you were teenagers and you had a Ouija board and you thought this was really cool. Some people might even understand the whole stiff as a board, light as a finger. It tends to be more of a female thing than a male thing, but that too is part of this process. So what is cold reading? And I have a lot of slides on cold reading, and feel free to interrupt anytime you want. But this is a little quiz about cold reading. So if you're a cold reader, the first thing you do, and you remember how I said it's damn lies, and psychics? This is why. We love statistics. Statistics give us a pretty good chance of getting something right eventually. Not right away, just eventually. So who here happens to know the most common male name? Anybody want to take a guess at it?
Is this just the U.S. or is this more?
No, it's just the U.S. That's a good question. This is just the U.S. This is a U.S.-focused talk because I'm a really bad social engineer in Farsi, or French, or Greek, or anywhere else. So just the U.S. Anybody want to take a stab at it? Just call it out. Okay. Jim, Joe, Bob, Michael. James. Right? I just happen to know that. Why do I know that? Because I looked it up. It's printed in my brain somewhere. But, so if I walk around now think about this for a second. I'm going to walk around now and go, somebody's name starts with a J. Might be J-A, might be J-I, I'm not. Does anybody here's name start with a J? Anybody? Hey, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see my point. Most common female name, anyone? Susan or Michelle so far? Anybody else? Sarah. And she's named Mary. At least I'm guessing you are by the way that you turned your head and went, oh crap. But I could be wrong? No? All right. Most likely causes of death for men. Now everybody should know this. It's going to kill you. Close. Women. That was, for those who are not listening, she said women. Anybody? Anybody want to pick the most? Smoking. Well, that's sort of a symptom, not a, you know. Huh? Beer. All very good. Somebody said it, actually. Heart attack. It's actually heart disease, encompasses a large section of them. And for a psychic, we don't get specific. We're not going to say heart attack. That's way too specific. We're going to say it had something to do with the heart, maybe heart disease. Does it run in the family? Right? That's what we're going to say. Most likely cause of death for women. Cancer. It's actually neck and neck. It is heart disease and cancer. And you know, as a psychic, I can cover both with the same sentence. It seems like somebody passed away, but perhaps it was a long drawn out. It wasn't quick or sudden. It was like they struggled with it for a while. And then you say, well, she died suddenly of a heart attack. And I say, but she was overweight. Well, yes, she was. That's what I'm really talking about. She was prolonged and overweight. And that is what killed her. You think I'm kidding. This is really how it works. Now we're going to get into the really cool stuff. At least most people think it's really cool. We're going to talk about body language. And there's a couple types of body language that we talk about. When I say gross body language, I do not mean viscera and guts and various gross level things. I mean the actual gross movements of the body, which would be the arms, the legs, and the head. You know, how people stand, what their posture says, how their arms are moving. I'm going to move over to this mic because I can move now. So how people are moving and what they're doing is very simple, right? There's a complete different state of opinion when somebody is standing like this. You know, you kind of know what this person's thinking. They're not happy, where they are, what they're doing, and if you talk to them, they'll probably be a little reserved. Versus this guy, right? This guy, he's a different posture entirely. right? He's strong, he's confident, his shoulders are back, he's straight up and down, he's looking at you. He's in control. I don't really want to be in control. I'm taking control. It's just completely different. And it's that kind of stuff. And the more repertoire you get, the more you pay attention to how people sit and what they do, the easier it becomes to determine these things. I, on the other hand, have a huge repertoire of them because I'm crazy. And I think a lot about how people stand. Appendage movement, we'll get into this just real briefly. The difference between somebody going and somebody going is not subtle to me. One is a person who is bored. I don't know if you got that at the first one. I'm bored, that's there, it's shiny, I'm going to pick it up. I have no interest in it, it's just there and I'm going to pick it up, versus the guy who went, ooh, I want that. I'm going to pick it up really fast because I want that. These are very subtle changes are what cause people like me to start changing the way we say things or what we're going to do and how we're going to approach you. Now, my specialty, if I had one, would be the limbic system. And I believe up there it says you animal you, because the limbic system is the fight or flight mechanism, and it is awesome. It is so uncontrollable, and it does so many things for the human body. It makes me so happy. A little anecdotal story. How many people know why sunglasses were invented? Anyone? Anyone take a stab at it? Because the sun was bright. Oh, you're closer. Because the sun was bright. No. No. Back in the Middle East, where was the center of trading, right? You're familiar with that history? The people, the indigenous people said, oh, you know, every time I try to trade with you and I say I have some really nice silks or I have some awesome salt, because back then salt was a really big deal, your pupils would dilate and I'd charge you more. So they invented sunglasses so that while they were doing these trades, that people couldn't get that impression that they wanted something because they couldn't control their pupils. I can't control my pupils either. If I find somebody who can control their pupils, I'll let you know. And so far I haven't found them. Breath increase, digit trembling, and by digit trembling I mean the finger. As adrenaline hits the bloodstream, it causes the heart rate to increase and blood pressure to increase. And in the smaller of the digits, the pressure tends to come out as a rhythmic pulse. You can actually see somebody's finger move ever so slightly with the beat of their heart. Now, I'm way exaggerating it because you're an audience, right? It's normally about that, and you can't see it. But if you were sitting next to somebody and you just happened to look down and you saw their hand, just their finger moving ever so slightly, you could guess that they're agitated, right? Something's bothering you. Let's talk about it. It doesn't have to do with money. Is it romance? We'll get into more about that later. The visible pulse is another one. You know, a great place that I love to look at is language in general. So have you ever heard of the throbbing in the head, the vein throbbing in the head? He's so angry. That is a visible pulse, right? I mean, that's just, he is so angry that his vascular system has like, you know, is beating and his skin has contracted. The skin contracts, by the way. Did you know that? When your fight or flight mechanism gets in, your skin actually contracts a bit because it helps with bleeding, right? So if you're going to get cut, you don't bleed as much. So this is why the pulse ends up coming out in greater detail. Any questions about body language? It's a big topic. I covered it briefly. Anybody care? No? All right. Kind of depressing? No? All right. Micro-expressions. You're going to hear a lot about this, and I get a lot of questions about micro-expressions and subtle expressions, and I'll briefly explain to them. Micro-expressions are expressions that happen in 1/25th of a second. They happen on the human face, and they are a response to emotional stimuli. Okay? So if you have somebody who's not being emotional, they're not going to do micro-expressions. It's just that simple. Subtle expressions are micro-expressions that are only halfway developed. So sort of like you were feeling something and then it went away. You got distracted. It wasn't a strong feeling. We actually had one out in the hallway where she was like, oh, that's funny, but not funny. You know, and so for a second, yeah, no. Micro-expressions in particular are good. There are 7 basic, and they're up there. There are 7 basic looks that are universal to the human experience. You can go anywhere on the planet, and if you see somebody making these faces, you can guarantee that the emotion underlying them is the same, right? It's actually been extended to beyond that to be about 12, but the 7 are all you guys probably really need to know, and even then, you're not really going to know. It's just, you need to be aware that anger, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, and surprise, that list are all very distinct facial looks. So, yes?
What is the 7th? You have 6.
Oh, the 7th? I only have 6? That is awesome. Wow. Good catch. let's see, which one is it? Anger, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, surprise, and anguish. Sadness. It's sort of depression. It's under sadness, but it's anguish. It's slightly different. You're quite welcome. Thanks for catching that. I totally, and I went through this like 8 times, and so many people have seen this presentation, no one got it. One guy with OCD. That's all it takes. Yeah, I can't spell. I can't spell at all. So, remember when I said that everything is constructed for a reason, and everything I'm doing is for a reason? The 6 really wasn't. That was a mistake. The misspelling was, however, just to see if anybody would bother to call me on it. And you know why? Because it's about control. You see, there was a struggle for control briefly. Hey, I think that's spelled differently. Yeah, well, I can't spell, so what? Now I'm back in control. I dismissed you, right? Like, okay, you have a, great, go away. I mean, that's not obviously how I want you to feel, but that's essentially the control struggle that happened. Don't study microexpressions if you like movies. Okay, I'm just going to explain that to you now. Most actors cannot pull off microexpressions, and so you'll be watching a movie and you'll be like, I totally do not believe that you have lost your child. You are sitting there crying, and I can tell, based on these facial groups, that you are just going through the motions. It's very depressing. There are some actors that do, though, and they're really great actors. Is this useful for grifting? No. It's useful for interrogation. So if you plan to go into interrogation, you should probably study these things. If you plan to go out today and say, I'm going to practice being psychic, you should probably ignore this. And I guarantee by the time we are done, you could go out and pretend to be psychic. It's really not that hard. So that's probably enough on microexpressions, unless anybody has anyone. Subtle expressions I went through. Now, when you do this sort of stuff, you discover people who love NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. How many people here have either studied or know about NLP? Wow. Right? That's almost 50% for those of you that are not staring at the audience like me. That's pretty impressive, actually, because if you think about it, NLP is hypnotism. And how many people here have taken a hypnotism course? 1. Right? And how many people knew that when they were studying NLP, they were essentially studying hypnotism? Does anybody, see? Okay. So a few people were aware of it, but NLP is essentially, I hate NLP, by the way, just for anybody who's wondering. NLP is the ability to talk creatively and lie without lying. It's like saying things like, you may feel that there is a calmness reaching your body. And you might notice now that there's some calmness in your body. And it's like, what? Really? All right, it works, but it's really not my thing. So the thing that NLP did for us is they came up with this I-axis and Q thing. And anybody who's aware of the I-axis and Q thing, one of the most assuredly things that I get is the NLP I-axis and Q thing useful? No. And let me explain why. For those that don't know, NLP says that when you're accessing different parts of your brain, you look in different directions because your brain is connected to your eyes, and 1/3 of your brain is dedicated to your eyes, if you didn't know that. So while it is true that thinking and your sight are directly connected, it is not necessarily true that they are connected in exactly the way that they think they are. So and the I-axis and Qs, you have to baseline on someone. You just have to. You have to be like, oh, tell me a story, and know that they're telling you a factual story so that you know what way they're looking. From then on, you can use that as a baseline. Now, this only works if they're distracted, because I assure you, you're not going to catch me looking in any direction while I'm giving this talk, and I'm probably making shit up and remembering shit. Doesn't matter. So, that's what I say about that. It's not universal. You have to baseline it. I tend not to use it unless I think somebody will buy into it, and that happens. Now, if ever there was a reason that we fall prey to this sort of trickery, it is this right here. Your brain is designed to only care about stuff that will kill you or make you better. Where is the food? Where is the water? Avoid the thing with sharp fangs. These are things that your brain thinks about. If your brain were to remember absolutely everything you did every day, you would be Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. And for those that don't make that reference, very, very unhappy. So when I am talking about you, right, and I'm saying, oh, I think your aunt died from a heart attack, you're like, nope. I think your grandmother died from cancer, you're like, nope. I think your dog is named Fluffy. Holy crap, you know my dog is named Fluffy. Are you going to remember the first two things? Is it pertinent to your brain? Is it pertinent to your survival? No. You're just going to dismiss those things. But you're going to remember I nailed Fluffy. There we go. Now we know what everybody in here thinks about. So this is it, right? Like, so I can literally stand up here and talk and talk and talk and talk and get everything wrong. By the time you walk out, you'll be like, you know, he was really good. He nailed that one guy's, like, aunt was trying to talk to him from the great beyond, and she was telling him to, you know, let the kid have the car and split the insurance. I mean, it was really great and powerful, and I had such a great experience. And I seriously watch psychic shows and watch the people who come out of it and listen to what they say. It will be almost exactly what I just said in some variation. Oh, you know, he really got this right, he really got that right, it was a really great experience. Did you know that some people who are famous, who claim to be psychic, and I won't say their names, but it might rhyme with Lon Edwards, you have to sign an NDA just to go to his show that he doesn't have anymore, and his show actually takes 6 hours. And you would watch one on TV. What do you think happens in the other 5 hours? He gets it wrong. He's just making stuff up. You can use this in the same sentence, right? Like you could actually like get a hit and a miss, which is what we call them, by the way, hits or misses. You can get a hit and a miss in the same sentence, and the person will only gravitate towards the hit, and they will completely miss. They will completely disregard the miss, and like other people will be standing around going, no, yeah, he said your goldfish was named John. And it's not a goldfish. Why do you remember? It's not a, you know, and the guy will be sitting there, but he knew my fish was named John, man. Yeah, but he said it was a goldfish. It's not a goldfish. It's seriously that easy. So does anybody realize how this all plays together yet? Can you start seeing a framework here of statistical guesses and selective memory? Like, do you see how those two things relate? From a grift perspective, right? And it's just awesome stuff. I love this stuff. It makes my day. Now, the principles of cold reading, when you want to get into why does cold reading work mentally, it's obviously selective memory, but when you want to get into how does somebody trick you in the process of having a dialogue like we're having right now, this is why this works. The Forer effect, more commonly referred to as Barnum statements. How many people are familiar with Barnum? Yay! How many people know what the egress quote represents? Awesome. You know, P.T. Barnum was sitting around one day, and he was a brilliant marketing man. He's actually the birth of modern marketing, if you were wondering. And he was sitting around one day, and he was like, I have a freak show. Okay, that was what he was famous for on his boardwalk. He had a freak show. And he was like, I cannot make enough money with my freak show. People like looking at my freaks too much. This sucks. I want people to stop looking at my freaks and just give me money. That's what I want. So he said, you know what? I'm going to put signs all over my freak show that say, hurry to see the egress. Okay? This was a long time ago, by the way. The world was much bigger. So, oh my gosh, what's this new egress thing? We got to go see it. Everybody's talking about the egress. So people would literally bypass the vast majority of his show just to get to the egress. And for those who don't know, egress is French for exit. So he literally scammed people into running through the exhibits to get to the end. And they would get to the end and it would say, here is the egress through this door. And they would walk out into a parking lot and be really angry, right? And this is why P.T. Barnum is brilliant, because P.T. Barnum used to have a guy standing at the end of the whole process. He'd go, yeah, I really ticked you off, huh? Tricked you with the egress? Yeah. Imagine how much more annoyed your friends are going to be when you recommend to them they should come see the egress. Because misery loves company, and nobody wants to be the only idiot, right? So these people would run through and go, I got scammed. Crap, now I got to tell my friends to get scammed. I love that, man. Yes. So the Fourier effect is, and this is used in by far everybody, is using these very generalized statements that sound specific but really aren't, right? And they're actually quite funny out of context. Because if I just tell you one, you'll be like staring at me like, what? Like literally, a Fourier statement would be something along the lines of, sometimes you feel some anxiety, I think you feel some anxiety. And while you're feeling that anxiety, you're distressed, but it's okay because you have calm points too. Really? Sometimes I get upset and sometimes I'm calm? Really? Seriously? It works. It does, because out of context it doesn't make any sense, but in context, which I'll give you in a second, it does. The rainbow ruse, my other favorite. The rainbow ruse is using two completely contrary personality traits in the same sentence. You shouldn't be able to do this. The human brain should just be like, what? No? But it works, right? So you walk up to somebody and you go, I get a feeling that you like your area neat, that you like order and you like neat. Except sometimes it's okay to be messy. Really? I know it sounds like a Fourier effect, but it's slightly different. You might go like, really? I have OCD, yet I'm messy? That's pretty cool. I'm not sure how to do that. That's pretty neat. So to give you an example of what this really looks like, somebody has to stand up. Oh, don't all jump up at once. Come on down, man. Applause, yes, applause for the sucker. Come up. Yeah, in the parlance we call him a rube. Anyway, I got a question for you, man. You're now standing up in front of a bunch of people with lights. Right, yeah. No, it sucks. How do you feel? You feel different from sitting in the audience? Is it a big drastic change?
No.
No? It's not a big drastic change standing up in front of a bunch of people with this guy with a microphone staring at you?
No.
No, you good?
Yeah, I mean, it would be if I was staring at the light. That'd be a big change.
Yeah, it's kind of
That hurts.
All right. So normally what happens when people don't stay down here. Right. Yeah, stop stealing my control. Normally when people walk out like this, I wouldn't take a volunteer. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I'm doing that now because this isn't a real psychic grift. But if I wasn't, I would be looking around the room for the one person who wasn't looking at me as I asked for a volunteer. And the reason that I would do that is when they got up here, they would be very uncomfy because they're standing in front of a group of people and being stared at. And I might reveal something nasty. It's all in their head. So they've reached the state of confusion. They're already upset. Right? You're not upset. But if they were upset, I could pretty much go, would you agree with me that the sky is purple just to get out of here?
Right.
Yes, they would. All right. So, don't stay here. So here's how the psychic effects, I know, he's just trying to get away, man. I just want to go on. So when I'm doing these effects out in public and I'm doing them as a professional, this is how it looks, right? So the first thing that I do is I always walk up and I go, how you doing? My name is Will. How are you? Did you know I was psychic? Did you know that? You didn't know that? Okay, I was psychic. And I'm sorry, you were standing there and I felt something and I just had to come over and I had to shake your hand because I think I'm getting a message for you. I might getting a message. Look, I got to tell you, it's a little hard for me because it doesn't always come in clear, the messages because, it's like a feeling. I'm trying to describe a feeling with words and it's not easy for me because it's your feeling. It's not really my feeling. So is something bothering you? Did you come here for a reason that you brought? Now, what people don't notice is what I notice, right? Which is he smirked slightly off the left side of his cheek. You can't see that, but I can, and I know I am way off base, right? So I go, okay, maybe you weren't upset. Is somebody upset? Is there a situation that you're going through and now he's trying to hide a smile? But you see the setup going on, right? You see it, you feel it. I've approached and I've already set this context up and I've already built it. And so I start going, I feel like maybe, I feel like maybe you're a little confused and that maybe you're looking for some answers. And those answers are, you're just having trouble getting those answers, Is that pretty accurate?
Dude.
Okay, now you can go sit down. Thank you, yeah, thank you for him. Yes, thank you very much. But you see the difference, right? Like when you put it into context and I put that surrounding area around it, you start going, well, I don't know, it sounds all right. Sounds okay. I mean, it doesn't sound that crazy, but it really is that crazy. We'll keep going. Wow, I'm done with my cold reading slides. That's pretty awesome. Warm reading. Anybody know what warm reading is without reading the slide? Yeah. I'm not doing, I actually had originally decided to do warm reading here, but this venue is not conducive to warm reading. Now, warm reading is the act of stealing information from you without you knowing it in many, many, many different ways, and then using it against you. While I stand up here thinking that I look psychic, even though I'm not, right? So we plant microphones, we plant stooges into the lines, we do a lot of stuff to gather data, and the more severe ones have an earpiece that they stand up here, and somebody would be radioing to me, no, it's the guy in the blue shirt, his name is John, and he's here because he lost his wife in a tragic car accident. And I would go, I feel like somebody's suffered a tragedy. Maybe somebody's lost a loved one, it was recent, it was very severe and traumatic, and I feel like that person, I'm getting the color blue. I feel like it's not their emotion, it's like I get the color, not the emotion. And by now, some guy's in the audience going, holy shit, I think that might be me. And then the name starts with a J. Oh, I think that really is me. And I think the relation was a sister or it was a wife, maybe. Holy crap, that is me. And by this point, this person's jumping up to tell me how great I am. And so I'm not kidding, that's how it works. And I'm absolutely taking advantage of it all day long. Yay? Awesome, all right. I use no hooks. I'll try not to do that again. I use no hooks. Lots of people use hooks. Hooks are a great way to solidify the belief system in someone else, right? So if you believe in tarot cards or the Mystic East or, I don't know, big turtles carrying the world flat on some elephants, it doesn't really matter to me, man. I don't care. Whatever you believe, but I'm going to advertise it, and I know that if you walk through my door, you already believe it, right? I don't have to sell you on it. You've already bought into it, right? So, you know what I don't see, though? I don't see a lot of tea leaf readers. I think everybody should start demanding psychics do tea leaves. Can you imagine, like, showing up at the psychics and be like, yo, tea. At least I'm getting tea out of this. Right? It'd be good tea, too, because it has to have loose leaves. Some of these are pretty obvious, right? And so the interesting thing about using a... The interesting thing about using a hook is that it allows the person to research it themselves and convince themselves it's real. Yes! I read all this stuff about tarot cards. Now I'm sitting down and they're saying the things that I read. It's fantastic. Crystal balls, right? We had the chick with the crystal ball. You know why nobody uses crystal balls anymore? Does anybody actually know why that happened? Like, nobody uses crystal balls anymore? No, actually, by a little man you may have heard named Houdini. Houdini got really upset at psychics, as am I, obviously, the grifting kind. And he started debunking people, and the vast majority of people in the early 1900s were using crystal balls with various lighting effects in order to achieve the illusion of various phenomenon. And he disproved them to the point where using a crystal ball as part of your act, people would fear that he would show up. They stopped using the crystal ball for fear that Houdini would come in disguise and expose them. So suddenly everybody was tarot reading. I wish I could make this stuff up. So now, there's a couple up there that I love, and one of them is fire. And do you know why psychics like to use fire? Because human beings love fire. We love it. Since the dawn age, we have been going fire equals safety, fire equal life, right? So using fire is very powerful psychologically. Now, the other thing that you do is, who here likes to watch things burn? Almost everybody should be raising their hand. Those of you who aren't are basically lying. Everybody likes to watch crap burn. It's fun. It's why car explosions exist. I bet you didn't know it was also very cathartic. That's why so many self-help books say, write your problems down on a piece of paper and put them in a trash can and light it. I feel so free. No, it's just it's a false cathartic effect involved in fire, right? Touching. How many people here know about the whole touching thing? Anybody like the, some guy raising his hand while he's writing? Very cool. There's this whole, I'm going to touch it and tell you where it comes from, historic, I don't remember what it's called because I never use it. And there's another one where, if I touch you, I can read your thoughts, or if I touch you, I can find things you've lost, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are actually tricks to that. There's actual tricks to that, which I'm not going to go into because it's used by magicians, and I'm not going to give away magician tricks. But don't let them touch you. This is if you're ever like the guys I'm psychic and I can do this, all I need to do is touch you, don't. What's up? Yeah. Yeah, it is a ruse used by pickpockets in Paris. Actually, yes, it is also used in Turkey and Greece and pretty much anywhere else there are pickpockets. Specifically gypsies. Oh, gypsies. Gypsies are experts at getting money from you. The real ones, not the fake ones that claim to be gypsies. Yay, showmanship. Being psychic, whether you're performing or you're deciding to rip people off for money, is a show. It is a show. I am up here giving a show, for those that didn't know. The reason that it is a show is because if you are a psychic and the person doesn't care, he's not coming back. It's just that simple. You have to provide somebody a story to tell. The psychics don't give them crappy-ass stories. I was walking down the street, this guy walked up to me, told me to buy a lotto ticket, and I won $2. You don't hear those stories because they're pointless. What you do hear is, oh, I went to this psychic and they told me that Janine is going to marry some tall African man and they're going to win $1 million and I'm going to get a yacht. This is fantastic. So you always have to gauge your target's interest. You always have to be able to give them something that they can tell to someone else. And if you do correctly, they come back with friends. Now, they come back with friends because they want to share this great resource about how we can change the world with this psychic. Now, if any of your friends comes to you and says, we should go see this psychic, it's phenomenal, smack them. Because they're essentially showing up to you going, hey, I want to rip you off, and I'm too stupid to realize it. Don't smack them, just educate them. Just say that. I'd smack them. But so really, this is all about education. So control. Now, control is the hardest thing for anybody to do. If you're going to be psychic and you're about to go out and say, I'm going to be psychic to people, don't do it in public. Because a car going by can ruin your day. It's that easy. Control, it's all about control. It is all about control. I said it before and I'll say it again. It is all about control. Maintain control at all times. It's just it. People will try to take it from you. Don't let them. There's various ways to maintain control. You saw me do one, which is called a dismissal, right? Which is, yeah, you don't matter, right? If you have the vast majority of control and someone's trying to interrupt you, you can do a dismissal because you have the vast majority of control. If you are trying to gain control, you can't do dismissals because you don't have control yet, and people will just be like, yeah, why not? Why didn't you answer his question? Right? So how do you know how much control you have? You look at people. I know we're all technologists and we love computers, but this is a talk about people. You look at people and you study them, right? And you look to see whether or not people are looking away, getting up, looking on their smartphones. I can tell you this. I've watched lots of people give talks up here, and I pay very close attention to how many people picked up their smartphones. And there's a difference between a person picking up their smartphone, like Erin, hi Erin, and tweeting, this is awesome, which she was, thank you. And, some of the guys up in the back who are, reading the tweets about what's going on. To be key, never let your target think for themselves. Never let them form an opinion. This sucks. Don't let them do that. You're in control. It's your opinion. You're giving it to them. Let them think it's theirs. It's fine as long as it's still yours. Always be ready to interrupt. If somebody's about to say, I think I know how you did that, they get to I think because they're having a thought. And you take it away. And they say, I think, hold on. That's all it takes, literally. I think, hold on. Have you ever heard the hold on, I'm getting something? It's like the cliche psychic thing. Hold on. Something's coming through. That's like the cliche interrupt, right? And never interrupt when the target is convincing themselves. That's a little harder to do. But if somebody is about to say to themselves, wow, you have just nailed it. You are psychic. Don't interrupt them. It seems silly, but it's true. So, proof. Psychics always have tricks up their sleeves. right, to prove that they're psychic. Otherwise, they get called out, and you'd be like, well, I don't know. I suck. The variations in what they do to prove themselves are all very different. For the most part, they take the easy way out, and they would use a stooge, like in the audience, who I would know, and I would say, hey, your name is whatever, and blah, 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 and they would go, yes, and they would have this great emotional experience that showed you, obviously, I am the most spectacular man on the planet. But that's not true. They also study magic, and so now this talk is a little short to be giving people all the skills. So I'm going to recap real fast, and then we're going to go into some fun stuff. One, be vague, but specific. I know that sounds weird, and it is. Two, talk about them, their money, their love life, their career, their family. Stay on these topics, and you will never go wrong. You're going to be wrong most of the time. This is irrelevant. Most novice people who do the psychic thing are like, crap, I have to be right. No, you have to be wrong most of the time. That's the whole point. It's the hits that matter. So that being said, I'm going to teach you. I decided everybody who came to this talk should at least learn one stupid card trick, right? So everybody now is going to learn the stupidest card trick known to man. I made this up 2 weeks ago. I did, and there's no trick. It is completely and utterly like me going, hey, I'm going to pick your card, and you're going to let me, and it's because I manipulated you, not the deck. So who wants to be the volunteer for that? Okay, come on down, man. All right. Now, because I'm going to show you how to do this trick, I'm not going to go through all the rigmarole of proving to you all the things that a magician would normally prove. As you can see, I have my sleeves rolled up. The reason they are rolled up is not because my arms were hot. It's because I knew I was going to do a trick that involved cards, and I wanted you to know that my sleeves are empty. That's why all magicians wear their sleeves up. Now, Mr. Gillis. Yes. He could hurt me.
Smash.
I want to show you that I'm removing the extra crap from the deck, right?
All right.
We'll try to talk loud. Now, you agree that there is essentially a deck of cards here, yes?
Essentially, yes.
Yes, all right. Now, we're going to mix them up a little.
All right.
Now, the stupidest card trick known to man does not have a lot of sleights and weirds and things in it because there's no actual trick. So there's not a lot of anybody else handling the cards, because if you were a magician, then you could have them do that because you would be forcing sleights and doing various other things. But because I'm only manipulating the prospect, I have to keep control of the cards myself. Okay. So we're shuffling.
Every day I'm shuffling.
Yeah, every day we're shuffling. All right. Now, to prove a point, and I'm going to say that very loud, I am now not looking at the cards and not bridging either, apparently. So I use new cards, and I'm trying to get them to warm up, but they're not. I'm still not looking at the cards. Would you agree I'm still not looking at the cards? Yeah, fair enough. I'm telling you how the trick works. You don't have to be that convinced. Wow, I really can't bridge. I was sitting outside doing this trick. Just so these cards would be warmed up. Okay.
There we go.
Would you say they are shuffled?
Yes.
All right. What we're going to do is we're going to set this card right here. I want you to come do. What I want you to come do is I want you to go over to that card, deck of cards, and I want you to split them anywhere you like. You have free choice. Split them anywhere you want, and then set that next to it, just face down. Just pick it up, set it up, face down. You got it?
2, 3 times?
No, just once.
All right.
Just cut the deck wherever you feel like. All right, perfect. Do you feel like you had a free choice? Do you want to move any more around? Do you feel comfortable with that? Okay, that's fine. We're good. All right. I don't know if anybody saw this, but he actually, forgive my language, bitch cut me. That's what he did. All right. So now we're going to talk about the magic that involved in this trick, okay? So everybody has to look at my hands. You see my hands? There's going to be magic coming out of these hands. Not true. Not true at all. No, I have no magic. All right, so number 1, number 2. Pick one.
2.
2. All right, we'll take that. Now what I want you to do is pick up that and look at the very bottom card of the whole stack. But don't show it to me, just look at it. Okay, got it? Got it memorized?
Sure.
You want to show it to anybody else? Everybody got it? Some people got it? All right, perfect. Now what I want you to do is think very, very hard about that card and project it to me. Not boobies, dude. Stop thinking about the boobies. Yeah, I know. It's tough. Wow. That's interesting, too, but not what I wanted. Okay. Thank you. I think I got it now.
All right.
I think I'm getting something.
All right.
It feels round-ish. Round. I'm going to set that down. Roundish. Roundish? Yeah, roundish. Maybe a little point. Could it have a point on it? It has boobs? No, it doesn't have boobs. I'm going to say that it is a black card. I think it is a black card. I do not think it is red. Now, I've already eliminated half the deck with that statement right there. I think it's a face card. I do. I think it's the Jack of Spades. And what is it?
Okay. Yeah.
It is the Jack of Spades, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you. Stupidest card trick known to man. Thank you. Would you all like to learn how to do the stupidest card trick known to man? Hold on. Huh? The deck has the same card. No. All right, so look at the slide. The first thing I'm going to tell you is that I lied. There is a trick. Never trust a grifter. I lied flat out. There is a trick, and I'll show it to you. It's pretty easy. She left. No, she's back there. Come on, come on, come on, skeptic. Thank you. Yes, thank you. So if it was the bottom card, how exactly did I shuffle it?
It's easy to shuffle and keep the bottom card on the bottom. You just always make sure.
She's got half of it. That's not all the shuffling I did, though.
No, it's okay.
I know, isn't she awesome? Well, I want to see her do the other shuffle. Because there's actually a slate in the other shuffle. Here you go. Remember when I was doing this up here? You probably didn't see that part.
Yeah. You'd always keep that one card on the bottom.
Yeah, but you didn't. Yeah. So that's the slate, for those that were wondering, right? You see the bottom card? I'm going to take my hands away. Before, I was doing it like this, right? And then I had it like, various other things. So I'm going to take my hand away. And you notice I can just keep doing that, right? Do we all see that the bottom card is actually still the Jack of Spades, right? I can just keep doing this all day long. I can do this all day long, right? Now, that's not the interesting part. If it was the bottom card, how did I know which pile he was going to pick?
It didn't matter. Whatever he numbered, you pick the other pile to be the other number.
Ah, she has studied magic. It's called the magician's choice. There's nothing more powerful than the human brain than when they think they have a choice. Nothing. Like when you think you have a choice, it's awesome. So you remember he split the deck. It went something like that, and I said pick 1 or 2, and he picked 2, and I took 2 away. That's what happened. If he would have said 1, which I'm pretty sure somebody eventually would have done, I would have said, okay, keep that 1, and I will take number 2 away. So in that way, with a series of sleight, which apparently in the side I had, a magician in training, it really is that silly. Now, so I can tell you that I gave that trick that we just did to about 16 different people over the course of 2 weeks. Yeah, thank you. And it fooled absolutely everyone. I'm not kidding. Like, it fools everyone. Now, apparently not people standing on the side who've had magician training. So if you end up running into a magician, they will call you on it because it's a very, very silly trick. Notice I said it was the stupidest card trick known to man. It's very, very dumb. Huh? Yeah, so, if nothing else, you can go home and confuse your children. Or your mate, if that case may be. But, so who recognized any of the setup? Did anybody recognize the setup? Like, anybody? What key pieces of the setup did we notice? The magician's choice. It's not the hacker's choice, yeah. Well, yeah, that was a little bit of it, right? So my problem shuffling was artificial. I wanted people to just be like looking at the cards, then looking at me and being like, what a goof. Right? Because if you're wondering if I'm inept, you're not wondering what trick I'm pulling, right? Inept magicians don't do well, right? There was a little bit more to it. There was some other setup in there. I did that really early, though. Well, there was a more trick to that. It was in the setup. The 4 cards that were here, that are the extra cards that you always get, the jokers, and they explain how to use your cards, which is pretty awesome. That was over the Jack of Spades. So what I actually did was, when I took the cards off, I validated that my deck was still right, and that I could perform the trick, because it would have really sucked. I'd been like, your card is the Jack of Spades, 3 of diamonds. Crap. Is this being recorded? Oh, yes, it is. Crap. once I put the deck down, I don't touch it anymore. You notice I stepped away from it and let him do all the manipulation of the deck once it was in his hands. It's very important, right? Because that makes it look like he's in control, not really in control. But it makes him look like he's in control. And that's what gives him the power of, oh my gosh, I have free choice. I can pick whatever pile I want. Yes, you can. You can pick whatever pile you want. You just can't pick which pile I take away. So there's a lot of stuff to cover. I'm probably right at time, if my guess is. Although I don't know where my timekeeper went. He showed me 10 minutes and then left. Apparently I can go as long as I want. Sweet. No. So I think I'm running out of time. Any other questions about, how to go out and be psychic today? Anybody have any questions about that? Anybody want to practice? Anybody? Huh? So here's the most famous joke ever that psychics hate, right? Which is, I bet you knew I was going to say that. You want to know how many times I've gotten that since I've said I was giving this talk? But you knew that, didn't you? You knew I was going to say that, didn't you? No. We never say that. We never ever say it. You know why? Because, and we never jump on it. You'll never see a fake psychic go, I knew you were going to say that. Except in a movie, because, well, that's just cheap. And it proves we're not psychic. What we're really doing is just going to guess. Like, if you guys had any idea how often I am guessing in my head, you would go insane. Seriously, it's pretty bad. Any other questions? Phone. For the most part, social engineering, which is what that actually takes into, over the phone is about manipulating the psychology in a slightly different way. A grift is about manipulating the psychology of an individual to gain trust and control and rapport. The process over the phone is to engage their necessary need to help. Whether you want to do that because you're going to do it through fear-based, I'm the VP of such and such and I have a $2 million presentation, and if you don't give me access to my email right now, we're going to lose it. What's your name? And who is your supervisor? That's probably going to get you in. Versus, oh my gosh, I'm late. My boss, who is the VP, needs this critical data, and I'm just his admin, and I'm going to get fired. Is another one, right, for the phone stuff. So phone sort of manipulation is done on the context of the interaction between emotions more than it's done on the interaction of language, I guess is the best way to put it. This all grifting stuff is all based off of language and the way I stand and what I do. Any other questions? No? Okay. Go enjoy RSA.